All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, YouTube? We're back with the Monday NBA show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. We got an 8-game slate tonight in the NBA streets. Some good games going on. Some massive totals with some blowout concern. Lots of injury news, like always here. November basketball, but these new rules have helped us a little bit with some of these injury reports and the injury reporting issues that obviously are so important to DFS for NBA DFS here. If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton here. We're on the drive for 5 here. 5,000 subscribers. Once we get there, we're giving away an annual package to ShipItNation.com valued at $700. If you are not a member, head over to ShipItNation.com. We have monthly, 6-month, and yearly packages. If you use promo code MAIL, you do get 10% off there. And that's for life. So any package that you want. But Ham, that's enough of marketing, advertising off the top. Got to do it. Got to keep the bosses happy here. But I'm gonna bring you in, man. You just got off that show with Title and Hoop breaking down tonight's Monday Night Football game, and I hope we see a normal football game here. Two amazing teams going at it with the Chiefs and the Eagles. Just please, no punt returns, no kick returns, no injuries, no nasty weather. But what's going on, man? How's your Monday?
Yeah, Monday is going good. I thought Hoop was going to be in a fit today. The kicker was the captain that was winning it for like the first 3 quarters last night, and then obviously didn't turn out that way. So ready to talk some NBA. Gonna have NBA on the TV. Gonna have some NFL on the TV, and I'm gonna give you some more winners and tell people not to play Anthony Davis like I did on Friday night, even though we dropped 50. It did not matter. So looking forward to it. Let's get right into it.
Whoa, easy, buddy. You can't be taking a victory lap on that. I said Anthony Davis could easily put up a 50 spot, 50 to 60. He put up 50. It just obviously wasn't needed. But you're not taking no victory lap on that. Anthony Davis had his will in the paint, like I said he was gonna, and he was 2% or 3% owned, something like that. So you ain't taking no victory lap on that one, buddy. But let's jump right in here. First game on the slate. 9-point spread here. Milwaukee favored by 9 here on the road in Washington here. Massive total in this one. 246 is the total. Obviously, we know the drill with Washington. Washington doesn't play defense. In terms of injuries, Beauchamp is still out for the Bucks, and then Johnny Davis, I believe, but Johnny Davis is irrelevant here. So not a ton of injury news here. The Beauchamp injury does give a little bit of a boost to Malik Beasley, which we've been seeing, but his price is starting to come up. He is still just 4,900. Pat Con, Campaign, those 3 guys there. I'd probably max one of those guys, but all 3 of those guys do share a little bit more minutes with the Beauchamp injury there, Beauchamp being out here. But I'll kick it to you, man. Washington and Milwaukee, highest total on the slate, 246. Washington doesn't play any defense, and these Bucks are starting to click on offense with the Dame Giannis connection. Obviously, we saw Giannis nuke the slate the other night against Dallas, and Dame still put up 54 DraftKings points when Giannis did go absolutely nuclear. So they're starting to work together a little bit, and both benefit and both score fantasy points. Are you going to one of those there? Dame's 9,600. Giannis is up at 11K, and then on the Washington side, you got Jordan Poole at just 6,400, and the Bucks can't defend the point guard at all. At least in the regular season, Dame is not interested in playing a lick of defense at all. So, interesting game here to start off the slate. Where are you going, man?
Yeah, should be a good one. Obviously, going to be a high-scoring affair. I mean, how do you not just love Giannis? Put up a 70 burgers last game out. I think that was on Saturday night. Maybe it might have been Friday night, but put up 70 last time out. This Washington team, no good at defense. So that would be where I would go first and foremost for the Bucks. And then, yeah, I mean, if not Jordan Poole, when are we going to do it? Milwaukee team that does not play defense against the guards. He's in a great spot. Tremendous price at, 6,400 tonight. Point guard, shooting guard eligibility. Love Jordan Poole tonight. Another guy that I like that, Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones, 30 minutes his last game. Tyus Jones was a really good point guard last year in Memphis as the backup to Ja, and obviously filled in when Ja missed some games. So I think he can get going. He's another one. Hadn't had that blow-up game this year. 40 points is kind of his ceiling, maybe 40, 45. If he can get there tonight, up and down game, hopefully they can keep it close. That's how I would kind of rank my Washington would be Poole and then Tyus. And then on the Bucks side, definitely have interest in Giannis. I know you have a little bit of interest in some more of these Bucks. I'll let you hit on those, but it'd be Giannis for me, and that's about it.
Yeah, no, definitely a great breakdown. On the Washington side, it does start with Kuzma, but you do pay for it at 8K. He does have a 32% usage rate on the season so far. I think I prefer Poole a little bit here, just because Kuzma is going to have a pretty tough time dealing with Giannis, dealing with Middleton. Even in Middleton's 20 to 22 minutes, he's still a good defender. Giannis, obviously one of the best defenders, and then Brook Lopez in the paint, one of the best rim protectors in the entire league. So I'm off Kuzma here. It's a Jordan Poole, and I get it, right? It's gross. It is very gross. Jordan Poole has been absolutely horrific, but he's still chucking the ball, 16, 17 shot attempts. Going to shoot probably 5, 6, 7, 8 threes, 3-point attempts. If he can find his way to making some of those. Last game he went 0 for 6 from 3, 2 for 11 from the field. Pretty brutal numbers there from Jordan Poole, but no better spot to get right than facing Mr. Dame Time here at home. In a game where you're going to need to show up, right? Dame's coming to town. Giannis is coming to town. Bucks are starting to click a little bit on offense here. Maybe a guy like Jordan Poole says, okay, it's my time to shine. I'm going to get it right. Can't hit water if I fell out of a boat right now. And now gets a great matchup here. So I do like that. Tyus Jones, I don't love a ton at 5,600, but he does benefit from the same matchup with Dame. If he gets 30 minutes here, he might even get extra minutes if the game does blow out. I'm not anticipating a blowout, but obviously 9-point spread, Bucks rolling on offense against a team that doesn't play defense. Could definitely see a blowout here, but Tyus Jones would probably be my second favorite option just at the price there. Would probably max one of Jordan Poole and Tyus Jones personally. Don't think both of them can get there and don't really want to play too much from the Washington side overall. And then on the Bucks side, Giannis is most likely to go off, in my opinion, here. Obviously, the surprise there, but he is 11K. You could see Dame. Dame did start getting it going. He has gotten it going, right? Played 30 minutes last game against Dallas, still put up 54 DraftKings points there. You could see Mr. Dame Time here against a pretty weak defense overall. Obviously, Giannis should have his way in the paint with guys like Daniel Gafford and Denny Avdija guarding him. But you could see Giannis coming off the massive game, kicking it over to Dame. And I think two of these three, between Giannis, Dame, and Brook Lopez, are going to go nuclear here tonight. Really like all three of those guys. Brook Lopez should absolutely feast in the inside here. And he's got the best center matchup on the entire slate at just 5,700 coming off a down game. I could see 35 to 40 DraftKings points, and that'd be definitely enough at 5,700. So he's probably my favorite Buck right now, just with the matchup, the price point, and the ownership. Dame Lillard's probably number 2, and then Giannis would be 3. But obviously, the industry is going to put Giannis number 1. Giannis projected to be pretty chalky on the slate, probably 25 to 30% for a good reason. Obviously, has a great matchup here against Washington. Any final notes? Do you have a take on Beasley, Pat Con campaign? I think Beasley would be my favorite Hamwich in terms of a value option, but don't really know if you need to go there.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there, and I'll just put that up on the screen. I don't have any interest in Kispert or Shamet. They're cheap, but they don't really do much peripherals. Shamet, his minutes have been up and down. Kispert's right around 25, but he's a scorer, right? He's going to score 15, 20 points, real life points, right? But he's not going to get you many rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, things like that. So no interest for me. I don't know if you want to add any color behind that, but that's just kind of where I stand on those. Yeah,
I see Landry Shamet popping a little bit in optimizers. He would get extended run if the game does blow out. So I guess at 3,200, I think I would rather just stay away, to be honest. Personally, I don't think that's great value overall. I think it's just the nature of the slate right now. I think that's probably why that question got brought up, because he is popping a little bit in optimizers and projections a little bit as Landry Shamet at 3,200. But personally, not for me. Not going to go there. Next game on the slate here, we have the Boston Celtics back end of a back-to-back at Charlotte Hornets. One thing I do want to call out in this game, number one, it's a 9-point spread here. Boston favored by 9, 233 is the total. But a lot of injury news, and I expect a lot of these Boston guys to sit outside the guys that are already out here. Obviously, Nick Richards is out with a concussion. Terry Rozier remains out here. But Boston being on a back-to-back, now facing a Charlotte team here. You could see some of these guys sit. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, Drew Holiday. I expect at least one of those guys to sit here. So we're going to have to wait around for news. Just a back end of a back-to-back here against a team like Charlotte. Don't really see the need that they're going to run these guys out there a ton. So it's pretty hard to break down right now without knowing what's going on in this spot. But I do expect at least one of these guys, maybe even two of these guys, to sit in this spot. So that's going to boost guys like Peyton Pritchard. Sam Hauser is going to come back into play. Banton might come back into play depending on who sits. Fee, Lamar Stevens, some of these other guys. So it's pretty hard to break down right now how much. But what's your thoughts on that? Where are you going in Boston and Charlotte?
Yeah, I mean, Derek White and Al Horford have been ruled out already. But, yeah, we need one of those big, four, really. I mean, they got four studs. If not, they're just going to take all the shots. And Peyton Pritchard maybe at 4K. If one of those, big guns is sitting out, he's going to be the primary ball handler, right? If Drew sits out, so you don't have Drew, you don't have Derek White, then Pritchard's going to have the ball in his hands a whole lot more. At 4K, he becomes a lot more viable. So that's where I would like him if they're out. If Jaylen or Tatum, if Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum sit, then I would have more interest in Sam Hauser. So I'll kind of wait and see on that. I don't know if, any more are going to sit out, but we do know that Horford and Derek White have already both been ruled out.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I see our guy Steven in the chat brought that up as well. That's a good point. They did rule those two guys out early, so they would have probably questionable tagged one of these guys, but it's still the NBA. You still never know. One of these guys could still sit, so I definitely monitor it. Peyton Pritchard's popping pretty good right now in projections. I don't love it a ton. Derek White being out does help him a little bit, but man, his minutes just aren't safe. 25, 19, 23, 17. You just don't know what you're going to get from a minute standpoint. And he is 4K versus the 3K or the 3,200. So, I mean, at 4K, he does need to do something, right? I mean, you're looking for him to get you 25 DraftKings points with upside of 30, 35. Could he do it? Yeah, he could. I just don't love it a ton, especially if all these other big dogs are in. Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, and Drew Holiday. I mean, there's only one basketball. He's not going to demand a ton of usage there. So don't love it personally. Overall, I think Boston kind of handles this spot pretty much. Don't really love this Boston side too much if all four of these guys are in, which does seem to be the case right now. Miles Bridges has a pretty good projection right now. He's had back-to-back good games, came back. And we were worried about his minutes last time we talked, how much on Friday, I believe, right? And he played 33 minutes, 32 minutes on the back end of a back-to-back there. So I think his minutes are pretty safe. He's 33, sitting right around 33 in both games. He's 5,700. I think he's a fine value play, but it is a very, very tough matchup. So what's your takes on Miles Bridges here?
Yeah, Miles Bridges, yeah, you said it. You hit the nail on the head on that one. I won't touch on that anymore. But LaMelo Ball, I mean, 9-9. I like that. I mean, he's a walking 50 piece, I feel like. Last four games, 50-plus points. Holiday is a noted and known good defender. So, once again, if he sits, I think that boosts up LaMelo Ball. This Hornets team, man, they are just so bad. I feel like they get beat by 30 like every single night. Boston, one of the best teams in the league, if not the best. So, yeah, so you would have to have someone like if Holiday sits, I'm going to bump up LaMelo and I'm going to bump up Pritchard, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. So, for me, it'd probably be a full pass on me just because Boston's so good. They slow the game down and they spread it out. So, it's a pass for me unless we get Holiday sitting.
Yeah, I did see Clifford did say he's trying to play Miles Bridges a lot. So, I mean, I expect his minutes to be there. Again, I see some talks in the chat saying Bridges is underpriced on DK. It is a very tough matchup, so I don't know if you can really say people are too underpriced against Boston. Obviously, the best defensive team in the league, especially once, I mean, if they have Brown in there, Tatum, Porzingis, and Drew Holiday, I mean, they're all good defenders. I don't know. I think he's fine. I am seeing him come with ownership as well. I mean, he's probably going to be 30% owned on DraftKings, at least how it sits right now. So that might be some chalkier play that I might be under on. I'm just not really signing up to play guys against Boston too often, especially in a spread like this where Boston could absolutely beat the brakes off of these guys. I do want to keep LaMelo in GPP consideration just because shot volume alone. I mean, this guy, if Charlotte has any chance of keeping this game close, it's got to come on the back of LaMelo chucking it up. I mean, 20, 25, 30 times, right? So just on that alone, if he's hit some of those threes, Boston, you can get him a little bit on the perimeter, LaMelo, but I mean, 9,900, tough price point to play. He is going to be probably 5 to 6, 7, 8% owned, somewhere in that range. So in GPPs, I think he's fine, but did want to hit on that because I do think Miles Bridges is going to be kind of a pretty chalky play here, definitely in cash games, things like that. So I did want to hit on that take for sure.
Hey, touch on this. Your opinion might be different than mine. I personally don't build for blowouts. Maybe you do, but I don't build for a blowout script. But if you want to do that, I think it's fine. I just personally don't do it.
Yeah, I personally don't build for blowouts. We've seen it so much in the NBA. I mean, it's still early in the season here, regular season. I mean, sometimes these guys just like play down to competition and the game goes opposite. What was it last week? I think it was the Toronto game last week, right? Toronto and I forgot who they were playing, right? Everyone predicted it to be a blowout.
Celtics, I think.
No, I think it was Washington. I think it was Washington and Toronto.
That game. Yeah. It was Washington, Toronto. Yeah. And Washington almost beat them.
Right. And Washington almost beat them. I think it was like a 10-point spread or a 9-point spread, similar to what this is and the Bucks game is. And Washington was leading like the whole game, right? And you saw those Toronto pieces smash. So I wouldn't do it personally. That's something maybe like more on a 2-game or a 3-game night slate or something like that. You could do that. On a full slate like this, I'm not going to really factor that in because I've seen it too many times where it goes opposite. You just never know at the end of it.
Hey, one last thing. Ball, much better play on FanDuel where he's 9,700 over on FanDuel. Okay, sorry, Nate, go ahead.
Yeah, so like even Steven notes it last night. Yeah, the Grizz last night played the Celtics close, one of the best defensive teams in the entire league, and they were shorthanded, played them close. So you just never know, really. I mean, if you strike it right and you get it right, well, you're going to be different and definitely have a chance at the top, but you still need to get everything else right. So I'd rather just not factor that in personally, is kind of how I approach it. This next game, we do have both teams on a back-to-back here, Denver and Detroit here. Obviously got Yoke, but the total here, 225. Denver favored by 8 in this one. Little bit of a pace-up spot here for Denver. Obviously, anytime you got Yoke on the slate, you got to bring it up, especially without Jamal Murray. I mean, his usage is just off the charts, continues to do everything for this team. But it's, man, this another heavy spread here. Both teams on a back-to-back. Jokic just last night played 36 minutes. I think his minutes are still pretty safe. He played 36 minutes back in November 3rd, and then on the back end played 33 minutes. So I think his minutes are still going to be there. It's just 12-8 is an expensive price point. I mean, he's $1,800 more than Giannis, and Giannis is playing a team that doesn't play defense here. Obviously, Jokic, I mean, best player in the NBA right now. It's hard to argue, but can you get up to him in salary on this slate here against Detroit? How much? Yeah.
Are you looking at the solver?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for whatever reason, it's not pulling in the most recent game. I did that too, but he actually only played 28 minutes last night. I went over to DK just to confirm that. For whatever reason, the solver's not pulling up games from 11-19.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I don't know why he only played 28 minutes and they ended up losing. So I don't mind going to Jokic tonight just based on the fact that he only played 28 the night before and they lost, right? Because I mean that with that coach. They don't. Most coaches, especially most championship caliber coaches, you don't ever want to lose back-to-back games. Kind of get that going. I think they go all out tonight. I mean, they're heavy favorites. Detroit, one of the worst teams in the National Basketball Association. I really like Jokic tonight, but man, 12-8's a steep price tag for that. I mean, I'm probably going to lower my exposure because, I mean, we're talking he's going to have to get 70, 75, to be on the winner, in my opinion, at that kind of price tag. So. He can do it. If anyone out there can do it, it's Jokic. But I think I'm going to be slightly under on Jokic. My favorite one, and I feel like I say this all the time, is Michael Porter Jr. I mean, if that guy gets hot, he's going to get you about 20 points. He can get you 10 to 15 rebounds, couple blocks, couple assists. So Michael Porter Jr. would be my favorite I guess just from a salary standpoint at 6'8". I mean, obviously Jokic is a great basketball player. Don't get me wrong, but 12.8's a pretty hefty price tag. And then I feel like I say this every time I'm on the show, but Cade Cunningham coming back on the Pistons side would be my favorite. If I had to go a sneaky play, my sneaky play would be Reggie Jackson. I think former Piston great Reggie Jackson, now that I say that out loud, going home to his old stomping grounds. Reggie Jackson, I really like Reggie Jackson tonight as kind of like a sleeper point guard. How much is he? He is 5,000. I like Reggie Jackson tonight, Nades. That's kind of one of my sneaky takes of the night is playing former Piston great Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, definitely great breakdown here. I'm personally going to be under on this game in general. I think Denver handles this team pretty good. Obviously, Jokic has a great matchup. It's not a smash matchup by any means with Isaiah Stewart inside, but Detroit has gotten killed inside since Thurin has been out. Here, I see he is questionable. I don't see that an update on that, but I'm going to be under overall. It's just Jokic if I play anyone in this game, and I'm even a little bit under on Jokic. I think I much prefer Giannis. Ownership also agrees with that, right? Jokic is going to be lower owned than Giannis, but it's $1,800 more expensive. So, I mean, if Jokic goes out there and gets you 70, but Giannis gets you 65 or 60, right? That $1,800 boosts your team up a lot more. So, I mean, Jokic does need to go out there and continue what he's been doing, right? 75, 80. Somewhere in that ballpark, depending on the rest of the slate. So overall in this game, just Jokic a pass for me. Basically under on the game in particular, though, for me. Let's jump into the next game here. We got the Clippers. We got the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio at home here. Clippers on the road. 8-point favorites on the road. 231 is the total here. James Harden. We got to talk on James Harden. Remains 7,800 here. Obviously, just went crazy against Houston in a great matchup 3 nights ago. There now gets a matchup here against the Spurs. Where are you going in this one? Clippers obviously got everyone in there: Harden, Kawhi, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, all these guys. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this because I don't like the system, but man. James Harden is such a great play tonight over on DraftKings, 7,800. You mentioned it. He's playing 30 plus minutes every night. He's got the ball in his hands. He's going to be about 20% owned is what I'm seeing right now, but I think he's a great play tonight. Kawhi, if you wanted to get different, I mean, they are different positions. I understand that. For 300 more, you could get to Kawhi. Kawhi playing his former team. The Spurs, obviously, I don't mind Kawhi as a direct pivot off of Harden from the same team, but I think they're both great plays tonight. I think I prefer Harden, like for a cash type build, but for a GPP, I would make that switch and go Kawhi. Now that we're talking about it, and find the $300 elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I'm actually fully aligned with you here. I think Harden does become the one people go back to here. I just don't think Harden's 100% here. And for $300 more, I prefer Kawhi. And for $800 more, I prefer Paul George. I really like Paul George and Kawhi. One of those two, I think, has a great game here against 28th ranked Spurs defense here. Paul George is my favorite, but you do have to pay for him. If you need the salary, I think Kawhi makes a lot of sense here. I would limit one of those, but I definitely like I think Kawhi or Paul George are great plays here. I think one of them has a big game in this one. On the other side, obviously Wembanyama has to bring in consideration each and every slate. I mean, the guy just has massive upside. Just went nuclear against Memphis 2 nights ago. What do you have? 19, 13, and 8 blocks. He almost had a triple-double on blocks. So Wemby here obviously has the upside, but 8,800 is an expensive price point to play. You got to assume Kawhi Leonard is going to take him on the defensive end, and at least that might be enough to slow him down a little bit. So pretty much it's just Kawhi or Paul George in this one for me. Not really getting to anyone else, and I'm going to be fading Harden tonight. Any final thoughts on Clippers Spurs?
Yeah, no additional thoughts. Go collect. Ask about James Wiseman at 3-3. we just went through that game. I don't think I have any interest in James Wiseman for the Pistons. They're awful going against Yoke. No thanks. Sorry. And nothing else to add. Kawhi over James Harden for me in tournament specifically speaking.
Yeah, I do want to bring up Norman Powell too. I see our guy Steven in the chat talking about Norman Powell, 31, 26, and 30 minutes in his last three. Gets the same matchup against the Spurs here. I think he's a fine value play. I am seeing him pretty chalky though, because value on this slate overall is pretty weak. So I see him coming to 25, 30% ownership I'm seeing right now on Norman Powell. I think he's fine. Obviously ownership a lot of times in NBA is good, is there for a reason, right? Minutes lead to opportunities lead to fantasy points. So I think he's fine at 4,100. He does get the Spurs defense, which is obviously bottom 5 in the league. So I think he's a fine value play as well at 4,100 there. Jump into the next game here. Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls. In this one, Chicago at home. It's a 1-point spread. Just 209 is the total, though. I think it's the lowest total on the slate by far. I mean, it comes close to the New York Knicks in Minnesota, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But just a 209 total. It is a close spread, however. Looking at the injury report, give me just a second in this one. Does look like Caruso is probable. Doesn't really matter. Terry, doubtful. Doesn't really matter. So not a ton of injury news in this one. Pace down spot. Pretty gross game overall in general. Not really seeing anything I like in this one. Maybe a Bam Adebayo, just because Bam's been playing great all season so far. But pretty much a cross-out spot for me. Do you agree?
Yep. It is the lowest total game. It is the two lowest teams point total, 105, 103, complete cross off for me.
Yeah, exactly. So fully aligned 8 games. You can cross that one off, make it a 7-game slate. That's how I'm approaching it. Nobody from Miami and Chicago for me. Jump into another 7 p.m. game here. It's the Sacramento Kings here, New Orleans Pelicans. Kings on the back end of a back-to-back here, so definitely have to monitor them for news in case anyone sits there. Other news, Matt Ryan's questionable with a calf. Jose Alvarado's questionable on the Pelicans side. Sabonis, you got Fox, you got Brandon Ingram, you got Zion, you got some star power at the top. You got Malik Monk, who's been pretty solid as of late, coming off a massive game there against the Spurs, obviously, but tougher spot here. Where are you going in this one, Sacramento, New Orleans?
Yeah, this has my favorite player of the night, and he went absolutely nuclear on Friday night. Only played 31 minutes last night. De'Aaron Fox, man, he's in a great spot. There's some guy named Dyson Daniels. I thought that was a vacuum cleaner, Dyson. Dyson can't guard De'Aaron Fox. I can promise you that. He's going to go nuke. Matt Ryan is out. Yeah, thanks, Josh, for putting that in there. He was questionable, but now he's out. Heard somebody mention Herder or playing Diarte. Don't mind Diarte if Herder's out, but I think Herder's going to be in. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat and or Nades. But De'Aaron Fox is about to have the game of his life, in my opinion. I think he will be in my core tonight. Really like him. I like Diarte at 3-1. That would kind of be where I went to go for savings. That's assuming Herder is out. It looks like he's taken, bypassed a Monk and or Davion Mitchell for some of those minutes. So want to monitor that. He played 33 last night. So on the New Orleans side, Jordan Hawkins, I don't mind Jordan Hawkins, and that's strictly 5,800 for a guy that's shooting it, pretty much double digits every time out on the court. I don't mind him. We're still missing CJ McCollum. Brandon Ingram will get a lot of consideration as well. He's 8-9, which is pricey, but there's another guy that's going to play in the 30s. He's going to shoot it. This Pelicans team has been tough at home. They beat the world champs, I think, on Friday night at home. And they think they beat somebody else. So Minnesota. So they went back-to-back, Minnesota and Detroit. I think winning both. Well, actually, looks like they lost that game, but they played them tough, beat Dallas the night before that. So De'Aaron Fox, I guess, is where I'm going here, Nades.
Yeah, well, we're going to be different in this one. I'm going to spend $700 and get up to Sabonis. De'Aaron Fox, I think he's not going to see they're not going to put Mr. Dyson vacuum cleaner on him. They're going to put Herb Jones on him. Herb Jones, a fantastic defender here. I think Fox is a fade, especially on the back end of a back-to-back here. He's got that injury, dealing with that ankle that he's going to be dealing with for some time. So it's a little Ham versus Nades in this one. Give me De'Aaron Fox to bust here tonight big time. I don't see him cracking 45 fantasy points. I like the matchup a lot for Sabonis
45?
here. Yeah, he's not cracking 45.
You talking about before halftime, or you talking about the whole game?
Not the whole game. He's not cracking 45, but Sabonis is cracking 50, 55 here. Give me Sabonis in this spot. Love Sabonis in this matchup here. And then on the other side, Zion coming off a massive game there. It is a little fluky how he got there, but I think he's fine. But it's pretty much just Sabonis in this one. I really like Sabonis here. De'Aaron Fox crossing off him. Brandon Ingram's been good. Brandon Ingram has a solid matchup here as well. But basically Sabonis for me in this one.
Hey, my guy Josh knows basketball. Anybody that has Villanova as their icon, right? The great Kerry Kittle's coming through there. My guy knows there is no matchup that De'Aaron Fox, he's going to say, hey, I'm from Kentucky. You went to Alabama. Come here. I'm about to get another 40 piece on you.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. I'm taking the under. I'll set the under on 50. He's not getting 50. I think he's under 45 here in this matchup, and we'll see. We'll see when we're back on the next show next
Friday.
week. Yeah, or if I'm on Friday with you instead of Tambo. We'll see there, but just Sabonis for me in this spot. Like the matchup a ton for Sabonis. Think Sabonis is a great spot on this slate. Really like Sabonis play, and again, he's $2,800 cheaper than Jokic. In a great matchup here, and that $2,800 goes a long way for your lineups. Let's talk about the second lowest total on the slate here. Next, the game here: New York Knicks, Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota at home, 3-point favorites. 213 is the total here. Pace down spot for both teams. Looking at the injury report, I don't see a ton either on the injury report outside of Quentin Grimes. Man, pretty gross game in general here for me. I'm not really seeing anyone in this game. Maybe an Ant Edwards, contrarian spend up guard, but not for me. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, Julius Randle's been playing good, and I haven't seen is RJ Barrett back? I don't think he is, but I could be wrong. Looks like he is back. He played the other night, played 26 minutes the other night. Yeah, this game's going to be slow. I can't see myself doing it. I mean, Ant 8,700 would kind of be where I'd have the most interest. But yeah, Julius Randle, no, thank you. Yeah, so it'd be Edwards for me, and then maybe Brunson. But those are hefty price tags.
Yeah, two good defensive teams. Ant would be the only guy just as a contrarian spend up option. Shooting guards, small forward eligible. You can play them both. He'd be the only guy I'd even look at, but I just don't even think I can get to him personally. Another cross-off spot for me. So I'm turning this game, this 8-game slate into a 6-game slate personally, crossing off Miami, Chicago, crossing off the Knicks and the Timberwolves here, which I think a lot of people do. Obviously, the two lowest totals on the slate, but basically two fully healthy teams that play slower, and you want fast-paced. You want definitely that for DFS wise. And this last game we have to talk about a lot because these Houston Rockets against Golden State here are popping a ton in projections, at least early right now. In this one, injury reports, Gary Payton remains out. Tari Eason is likely out with that leg there. So a little bit of injury news, not a ton there. Houston on the back end of a back-to-back here against Golden State overall. In this one, 7-point spread, 220 is the total here. Got to talk about Sengun, Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith. These guys are popping a lot in terms of our projections right now as it stands. Fred VanVleet, Sengun going to carry some ownership in this one. And then this Podzemski guy for the Golden State Warriors, hit on him because 39 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes. I'm seeing 20 to 25% ownership on him because he's just 4,400. Value's pretty hard on this slate. Do you have any interest in him? Where are you going in this last game of the night?
I've seen the Warriors play about 5 times this year. That guy has not looked at the basket one time that I've been playing or just watching him. So no Podzemski for me. No, thank you. Is Draymond back tonight? It does not look like he is. I think he's still suspended. I love Fred VanVleet tonight. I think he's in a great spot. My one concern that I have on VanVleet, while I'll probably be under, is he played 40 minutes last night, and I just don't know how much they're going to push him. He's played 40 minutes his last 4 games. This is their first back-to-back, if I'm not mistaken, all season long. I just don't know if the coach will push him to another 40 minutes. I think he's got a great matchup in terms of doing the peripherals, assists, rebounds, and scoring a little bit as well. So I'd like Fred VanVleet. I'm just be cautious just based on his minutes. I'd be scared of that. And then on the Warriors side, Kevon Looney at the center position, 5'5". No Draymond, I believe, if I'm correct. Played 35 minutes last game. He is a rebounding machine. Don't mind Kevon Looney at 5'5". Chris Paul, I have a little bit of interest in him at 7K, but that would kind of be the extent of it. This Rockets team, Nades, it's a little different Rockets team than we're used to. They played some really good defense. They have the best defender in the league, maybe in the history of the game, Dylan Brooks, playing for them. So they're playing better this year. They're playing better this year on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, see, now my guy Andrew Martinez. Let's go, Andrew. I'm back in with Andrew. I'm back in with my guy Andrew. Yeah,
hey, I never said that wouldn't be the case. They're my 2 favorite players. I'm going to core both of them. We're going to ship all the money. I'm going to win $1 million in the NFL.
Well, I'll tell you here. I'll save you some money, Hamwich. Take Fox out, put in freaking Sabonis, and then put in Fred VanVleet, and then you'll be making money. But yeah, Sengun did just pop up. I just got the Twitter notification. Thank you for the chat. For following that, trying to host the show, look at all these different screens, everything. I apologize for missing some of that news, but he did just pop up. Midday downgrade does not usually mean very good for NBA DFS. So I'm going to approach as Sengun's going to sit. And I just ran the numbers here with Sengun off the court here. And Mr. Jalen Green picks up almost a 13% usage boost. And he's 6,600. So you could see a little Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, little double stack late night hammer action here in this matchup. I like both of those guys here. Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, both get huge usage bumps. You'll probably see a guy like Jock Landale slide into the starting lineup. If he doesn't, Jeff Green might play the 5. Personally, I don't think I get to either one of those, even at 3K for Jock Landale. I just don't think his minutes are safe. They could run small here and not need a center. So they could, like I said, they could slide Jeff Green to the 5, play small. So I don't think his minutes are secure either way. Really like Fred VanVleet, really like Jalen Green in this one. I'm approaching as that if Sengun do sit and those 2 guys pick up usage boosts with Sengun off the floor. And
if he sits, I think Looney gets 20 rebounds. I mean, I think that's huge. If Sengun sits, I really like Looney. At 5'5", I think it's a great price.
Yeah, Looney, give a little 3-night late night hammer. I mean, Looney, Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green. I mean, you're sitting on those 3 with some of these early plays, a Sabonis, something like that. I mean, those 3 guys are all very reasonably priced, right? 7,500 for Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, 6,600, Looney at 5,500. I mean, for a nice little mid-tier build, I think that's a nice little starting point there. Jabari Smith is going to pop probably more in projections as well. I'm going to be under on him. I just really like Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green personally from the Rockets side. But you got to obviously monitor this news. It does start 2 hours later after that 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern time window there. So not going to have it before these other games lock. I'm going to approach like Sengun does sit. This late in the day, downgrade to questionable doesn't usually bode too well for DFS.
Josh thinks it's going Boban season. I don't know about that, Josh.
Man, it's not a good matchup either way, right? So like that's where I'm just going to play the matchup card and just say, like, I don't care really who slides in there. Just give me the ball handlers, give me Fred VanVleet, give me Jalen Green with the ball in their hand against the team where they could play small as well. So I do like that. My 3 favorite plays by far: Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, Kevon Looney in this game. Any final takes on this slate before we get on out of here, Amwich?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we got to find some value, right? Because it was a lot of big plays. I'm on Fox. You're off Fox. I don't mind Sabonis. I think Sabonis is a great play too. I don't know if you can play both of them, but it's going to be a good slate. Just got to try to find some value. Hopefully, we get the news not after lock like we did a week or 2 ago. So Make sure you're watching our stuff over here. Make sure you're in the Discord if you're a member over here at SHIPITNation.com. And we need a shipper, Nate. Let's get us a shipper tonight.
Let's do it. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA show here on the Ship It Nation channel. Good luck tonight in your contest. Hope to see those Ship It Nation logos at the top. For Hamwich, I'm Nadesify. Let's ship it.